Hello everyone, thank you for uh, visiting my YouTube channel to view this video on PubMed search. My name is Caleb Peter. I am the founder of Systematic Review Writing Service.com. I am the team leader of a team of informationists, systematic reviewers, and the content writers who assist students, researchers, academics, policymakers to do comprehensive systematic reviews with high precision and reviews that are publication ready. So today, I want to focus on searching PubMed. PubMed is one of the databases that is commonly searched in by systematic reviewers in healthcare sciences, in healthcare and social sciences, including psychology. So I assume that you already have a research question in mind, and if you don't have one already, you can visit Academy on our website. Just a moment. Let me verify that I am human. After visiting Academy, you can choose from introduction to systematic reviews, planning your review, conducting a search strategy. So today I'm on this part, conducting a systematic search, but you can come here and learn how to formulate a research question for your systematic review, choosing the right type of review and so on. So today, I want us to take this example for a research question. What is the comparative effectiveness of cognitive behavioral therapy versus social skills training in treating social anxiety disorder among adolescents? This is our research question. And we want to develop a search strategy and then execute that search strategy on PubMed. A close look shows that this is a systematic review of an intervention, because we are comparing the effectiveness of two interventions for a specific condition, the social anxiety disorder, and a specific population of adolescents. So to come up with such terms, you will need to use a framework. And this is an intervention, a systematic review interventions. Then we will use the PICO framework, PICO, whereby P stands for population, I stands for intervention, C stands for comparator, and O stands for outcome. So for our research question, the population is adolescents diagnosed with SAD, social anxiety disorder. And the intervention of our interest is cognitive behavioral therapy. And we are comparing cognitive behavioral therapy with social skills training. We want to know which one works better and for who and why. So the outcome is the effectiveness in symptom reduction, remission rates, and functional improvement. Now, I want to mention one thing. It's always recommended. No, before we go to the sources of information, it's always recommended that when you are dealing with a PICO framework to formulate such terms, never focus on the outcome, because if you limit your search to symptom reduction, then some searchers may be using different terms that you may not capture well in your search strategy, and you will likely exclude such studies despite that they are legible for your study. So such terms will only be formulated from these three, the first three. That's what is recommended. And the purpose of doing this is to ensure we improve the recall rate. A recall rate in the context of systematic reviews is simply something like sensitivity and specificity. Sensitivity of your search strategy is when you can, retrieve highly relevant studies without leaving those that are, relevant. And the specificity is when you are not retrieving too much noise. You see too many relevant studies that will even give you a very big burden when you are screening for the eligible ones. So um, now the first thing that you must do is to decide which sources you are going to search. Of course, today we are focusing on PubMed, but I'd like also to talk about something very important. And here, it's recommended that you choose at least 4 sources of information or databases to guarantee that your search is comprehensive enough. You understand? And from these 4 sources of information or databases, at least 2 should be discipline specific. If you are doing a psychology systematic review, then that one is going to be PsycINFO, and PubMed. PubMed also publishes, social sciences like psychology, studies from journals focusing on social sciences like psychology, and then at least one multidisciplinary database. There are 2 common comprehensive multidisciplinary databases that you can choose from. That is Web of Science. That's Web of Science, and another one is Web of Science and Scopus. And finally, you also need to choose either Google Scholar or ProQuest. Mostly Google Scholar is important when you want to include grey literature, which refers to studies not published in traditional journals, for example, PhD dissertations or doctoral dissertations, organizational research reports, governmental research reports. They are not published in traditional peer review journals, but they still provide enough information. And the purpose of including grey literature in your systematic review is to address what we call publication bias, which is a tendency whereby journals are likely to accept studies that have positive and significant findings and reject those with non-significant findings. And in the process, we are going to have a biased body of literature published online. So to address this issue, we also search Scholar. That said, when you have chosen multiple databases, for example here, we've decided to choose PsycINFO, PubMed, and Scopus and Book Scholar. The next thing that we should mind is that each of these databases has a unique interface, and this unique interface has its own infrastructure, and it requires therefore a unique combination of strings in terms of search terms and the way they are formatted. Then we have what we call proximity searching, which also differs between these databases. Proximity searching is when you see your, for example, there's this word, let's say we have, let me have this in red so that it can be more visible. We have something like CBT, which stands for cognitive behavioral therapy, and then we have um, social skills training (SST). Then you understand that for an article that is comparing these 2 interventions, then probably that article will mention both this and this. So you will do some proximity searching and tell the database where you are searching that I need articles where both cognitive behavioral therapy are mentioned within a proximity of around 10 words apart. You understand? That increases the precision, the recall rate of your search strategy. And now we have what we call Boolean connectors, which are usually the same between all the databases, apart from uh, apart from Apart from Scholar. Scholar uses a different um, search string, and it doesn't rely on the traditional Boolean connectors. And if you use them, then you are not likely to get what you want, and you're likely to make a mistake. Now, in this video, I will search PubMed for demonstration purposes. As you know, PubMed is for access, but other databases like PsycINFO, Scopus, Web of Science, Medline, CINAHL, all of those, they need institutional access. Maybe your university must subscribe to those databases so that you can access them. And they are very expensive, usually very expensive. For example, there is a database called Embase. Embase requires that you pay a whopping $2,500 in 1 month as a subscription as an individual. And it's just one database consuming all this amount of money. And it can be very, very expensive, especially for those coming from low income countries where there are limited resources. So let's do a demonstration PubMed for today, and from there we will learn. So go to your browser and go to google.com and then search PubMed like this. Then you have PubMed here. Then PubMed gives you this interface. As you can see, it's a database owned and maintained by the National Library of Medicine by the United States. So click on advanced so that you can do advanced search. I want us to do advanced search because that's what we'll mostly be doing for any systematic review. When you are here, this is now the interface or the search builder that PubMed Advanced gives you. And I want to talk about one thing before we move on. There is what we call here add terms to the query box. This is the query box here. And then we have all fields. You can see you can search the author corporate, author first name, author identifier, author last, book, conflict of interest statements, usually at the end of the article, the date of completion, the date created, the date of entry, mesh, modification, all this. But for us, we will focus on this title stroke abstracts. Now, there's one advantage associated with searching the title and the abstract. The advantage is that when you search the title and the abstract, you are limiting the search there. You are not searching the whole body of the article, the full text. You are not searching even the conflict of interest statements. You are not searching even the bibliography. You are not searching authors. You are not searching anything else other than the title and abstracts. This gives this advantage. It will improve the recall rate because if an article mentions your terms within the title and the abstract, then the likelihood of that article being relevant increases significantly. And that's how you improve the recall rate. That said, let's go back to our PICO framework. We had this. So let's start by formulating such terms related with adolescents diagnosed with social anxiety disorder. There's one thing that we should mind about. Under the population, we can break down this into two concepts. The first concept is adolescents, and the second one is social anxiety disorder. So we must search these two, right? So let's start with adolescents here. And in PubMed, you can use an asterisk, this thing here that looks like a star, to accommodate both or to identify or detect articles that mention both the word adolescent and that mentions adolescents. So when you give an asterisk here, you tell the system that give me both. But if you did this, then it may not retrieve those using the word adolescent. And if you use just adolescent, it may not retrieve those mentioning the word adolescents. So you put this to give room for both. And we will search this. One thing that you should mind about is we need to start recording or putting down what we are doing to improve transparency and uphold scientific integrity in our systematic review process, and particularly in our search strategies, because somebody did research, investigated, published systematic reviews, and they realized more than 90% of them have such strategies that cannot be replicated. For example, here we have searched the word adolescent, but we have given 369, we have 369, 250 results, but somebody else is saying 100,000, and that's not what is here. So that is not replicable, and it's scientifically questionable, and people may not even rely on that kind of research because it might be biased. So I will open my Word document, and what I will do, I will create a table with three columns, and this table, I will have this here. I have what we call search string results, and here I will have what we call search round. So, for example, we have done the first search using the word adolescent. So just go back here and copy this directly the way it is. Put it here, right? And then copy these results and have them here this way. You understand me? That's how you can ensure that. Let me use. Okay, let me use this. That's the first search. Now I want to talk about another thing. There's what we call medical subject headings in PubMed. Simply mesh. So go to google.com, search PubMed mesh like this. You will go here. What are medical subject headings? When an article is published and it talks about, or it's about adolescents, the person who is in charge of publishing it to this database will put a label to it, and those labels are there are vocabulary thesaurus used for indexing articles for PubMed in simple terms. That's what I am saying. The National Library of Medicine controlled vocabulary thesaurus used for indexing articles. When you do this, what happens is you increase the recall rate. For example, you will retrieve all articles that have been indexed against the term adolescents. So we will search and see if this term exists in the mesh directory. And as you can see, we have this. And it says an adolescent is a person who is between 13 and 18 years. So you should be aware of this. So select the term. I just selected it like this. Add it to search builder like this. After adding to search builder, search PubMed. You understand this? So as you can see, this one gave us only 3,069 250 articles, but this one has given us even more, 2.3 million plus. You see, that's why it's important to also use mesh. So our second gave us 2,320 and 683. Good. Let's move on. Now we are in the third round. So in the third round, we want to either search for this one or this one. That's why I'm using one or two. And the PubMed gives us this perfectly. Go back and click here advanced. Scroll down. As you scroll down, you will see one thing. We have one and we have two. So come back here, query box, and enter one or two like this and search. When you do so, you see now it's 2.4 million. You see? So this is better. 2,412,000, 2,412,762, like this. Now, we are done with searching the first conceptual unit of our population. The second one that we must focus on is now the social anxiety disorder part of the thing. So we will come here, advanced once more, title abstracts, and now search social. I will use quotation marks because it's more than one word. Social anxiety disorder. When there's more than one word, ensure you use quotation marks to tell the database that you should retrieve exactly this order of words. You understand, right? Or it's also commonly called SAD. So I will add and search like this. When you do copy, record, or document, when you do record and document, and it's 15,469. 15,469, like this. 5. Okay, now let's also go back and see whether there's a mesh term for this one. So we'll still go back to mesh. Like this. Go back to mesh and search for it. Anxiety disorder characterized by persistent and irrational fear, anxiety, or avoidance of social or performance situations. It was introduced in 2017, so probably this is what we are looking for, but let's go down and see. So exactly, that's what we are looking for. In fact, as you can see, entry terms can include social phobias, social anxiety disorder. So that's exactly what we are looking for. Social phobias here and stuff. So we also add it to search builder so that it comes here and we search. We record immediately before anything else. That's the most important thing. We want somebody else to replicate what we are doing. We don't want people to get lost and question what we did. We want to be as transparent as much as possible. So similarly, in our sixth search, we will search 4 or 5 like this, and we just advance. That's the case here. We have 4 or 5 or 5 like this. As you can see now, we have 15,918. 15,918. Good. Let's proceed. Now let's go to the intervention part of things. 7. As you can remember, we had intervention. The intervention we had is cognitive behavioral therapy. So just go direct to advanced again. Title abstract. And I use quotation marks. Cognitive behavioral therapy. I will use asterisk here because we can have I don't is this the correct spelling for behavioral? Yes, behavioral behavioral therapy. You see, American English doesn't have a U here, but British English has a U here. You understand? So we will use an aesthetic for you here to tell the database that we either need both. We need both results. If we only did this, then we will ignore studies published in British English. And if we did this, we will not retrieve studies published in American English. So we will use this to retrieve both. And now, CBT is also commonly used in the literature for as an abbreviation for cognitive behavioral therapy. So we'll add here. We will move on. The first thing we do is to immediately record this like this. It's 28,605. 28,605. Let's see if there's a mesh for cognitive behavioral therapy before we can proceed. So let's try also a mesh, see if it exists. So mesh, good, cognitive behavioral therapy. This one, it's already here. So it's the one, this is what we are looking for. So we'll add it to the search builder. So click add it to search builder, then search PubMed. And immediately we search, the first thing we do is to document. Documentation is very important. Yes, 40,813. 40,813. Then 9. That's now 9. 7 or 8. I hope you followed me well and you understand what I'm doing at this point. So let's go to advanced again. So 7 or 8. 7 or 8, like this. So it's now 54,179. 54,179. Next, let's move to the next concept, or now the comparator, which is social skills training. So advanced again, abstract stroke title, quotation marks, so social skills training, or SST, like this. Understand? Let's move on. Copy, like this. It is 8,000 and 8,458. Finally, okay. Let's move to see if there is a mesh term, social skills training. So we will go back to mesh, social skills training. There is no mesh term for that, so we will not search for it this time. And since now we have included the population, the concepts related to the population, concepts related to the intervention, and the concepts related to the comparator, the next thing now we do is to combine all of them using what we call AND. AND is a Boolean connector or operator that tells the database, look for articles that contain all these terms. Don't give it an OR, just all of them. So we will combine this with this and this and this. So we'll say, let's start 3, right? 3 and 6, sorry, and 6 and 9 and 10, like this. This will be the final thing for us this time, right? It's our final round of searching. So go here, and as you can see, we have all of them 3, 6, 9, and 10. So just put it in this query box and search. So you can see we only have 2 articles comparing these two, and this is an indication that indeed there are very few studies comparing these two interventions, and we need to search more databases. And at the same time, you should note that we only searched a few. We didn't do a comprehensive generation of search terms because it's a demonstration. And in the next time, I will show you. So you can download this as a CSV file to your computer, and then you can upload it to a software like Ryan, where you can now screen for eligibility, remove those that are not relevant to your research question, and only include those that are relevant to your research question. So this is how you do a PubMed research. This is a demonstration. I hope you noted how we combined things all down until we came to the final and the most strict, um, yes, the most strict. So we only got 2 here. Though, if we sat down well, formulated a lot of terms for adolescent, what else? For example, social anxiety disorder, we can also use or sociophobia or whatever and stuff. Then we can have a bigger number of articles. Here they can be 180. But this is another way of showing that our search strategy was very precise with a very high sensitivity rates and a high specificity rates. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you next time for the next video. Thank you very much.